This is a live view from the Orion spacecraft on the Artemis 2 mission. It's now been 5 days, 1 hour, and 54 minutes since we launched. We are still in our flyby coverage, and the crew is on a short break right now as we have changed the attitude of the spacecraft to help charge the batteries aboard. We use the solar arrays to gather energy from the sun and store it in the batteries. That way, when we are not in the sunlight, we have those batteries to continue powering Orion. Now, we're doing so because the Artemis astronauts are about to experience a solar eclipse from their capsule. And this is a solar eclipse that no one else on Earth will experience. This eclipse is about 54 minutes, and to the astronauts, it'll look a lot like a total solar eclipse on Earth, except the moon is going to be huge compared to the sun, unlike when you watch one on Earth and the moon and the sun appear about the same size in the sky. We're interested to learn if they see the outer corona when the sun is fully obscured by the moon. And because of how big the moon will be from their perspective, the total phase of the eclipse will last nearly an hour. The astronauts will see a partial solar eclipse as the moon covers and uncovers the sun, which is before and after totality. So, much like us on Earth, they will have eclipse glasses so they can safely view that portion. The astronauts will also be using cameras to capture images of the corona during the eclipse. There also may be some other planets visible during the eclipse, including Venus, Saturn, Mars, and Mercury. If they can identify what part of the sky they're looking at, this can help train future Artemis astronauts on what part of the sky they're seeing. This provides useful knowledge in challenging situations when they may need to rely on that information instead of instruments for navigation and orientation. Confirmation from teams here in the ground that we have reached the eclipse attitude, meaning Orion is in the proper position to observe it. The astronauts' break during this observation period is now over, and we are resuming their lunar flyby observations. The first of these is sunset. This is the solar corona that we'll be looking for. It's the outer atmosphere of the sun. The science team is also interested in if the astronauts can see polar plumes. These are thin streamers that project from the sun's north and south poles. Additionally, they're interested in seeing if the crew can witness coronal loops. These are arcs close to the sun's surface. And something else that we've previously mentioned is lunar dust. This is dust from the moon that is lofted above the lunar surface and illuminated by the sun. It was reported visible by Apollo astronauts. You're getting a live look from Orion as the crew observes a solar eclipse from the moon. Again, this solar eclipse is only visible to the crew on the spacecraft. It's not visible to anybody on Earth. The science team is interested in several different targets for them during this time frame. And we're personally looking forward to getting those images as well. Again, during the beginning portion of this eclipse, the astronauts will need to use eclipse glasses, just like we do from Earth, to safely view it. Once the moon has completely covered the sun, they'll be able to take off those glasses for almost an hour. Totality on Earth during a solar eclipse lasts only a couple of minutes. So this opportunity gives them a chance to look out into deep space and to look into see if there are other planets nearby. What you're seeing right now is the solar corona. That's the outer atmosphere of the sun. And the science team is very interested in any images that the crew can capture of this. They're hoping that they'll take pictures and describe the visibility, color, and shape of the solar corona as a whole and its substructures, those plumes and streamers.
Science, integrity, in the blind. This is continues to be unreal. The sun has gone behind the moon, and the corona is still visible, and it's bright, and it creates a halo almost around the entire moon. But when you get to the Earth side, the Earth shine is already shown. I mean, almost seconds after the sun set behind the moon. You could see Earth shine. The Earth is so bright out there, and the moon is just hanging in front of us. This black orb out in front of us, in front of now, not the blackness, but the gray that blends and drifts into the blackness. We can see stars and the planets behind it. And Christina is in window 1, Reed is in window 2 with the long lens, and Jeremy is describing it in window 3, and it is quite an impressive sight. You can still see the horizon lit up brighter where the sun set on that side of the moon. It is bright, and Earthshine is very distinct, and it creates quite an impressive visual illusion. Wow, it's amazing.
Again, you're looking at a live view from the Orion spacecraft on the Artemis 2 mission. Orion is now 252,125 miles away from us all on Earth. We're here in the Artemis Mission Control Room in Houston, Texas, and what you had just before we lost that view quickly was the corona of the sun peeking around the moon as the astronauts are entering a solar eclipse for this portion of the lunar flyby. We're now over 5,500 statute miles from the moon. That closest approach today was just about 4,067 statute miles away. And teams in the room beginning to get a little busier and filter in and out as we are stepping through a handover. The Orbit 1 team is handing over to Orbit 2, who will continue monitoring lunar flyby and all of the systems aboard the Orion spacecraft. You're getting your last few views of the solar corona as the moon begins to take center stage and completely cover the sun. If you see that bright dot up near the top left of your screen, we think right now that that may be a part of the spacecraft, but we'll be sure to correct that if we end up figuring out later that it is something else entirely. It has been an absolute honor to join you here today for the lunar flyby of Artemis 2, the first time humans have flown by the moon in over 50 years. I'm Leah Cheshire Mustachio, and I'm excited now to hand over the
game is shifting around in the windows, and we are transferring settings on the camera to pick up Earth shine, and it is amazing. The brightness where the sunset is still bright. I think there may still be corona visible, but that part of the horizon is still lit brighter, and you still have a distinct Earth shine.
You know our rules that we don't talk when the crew is talking, so wanted to give Victor Glover a moment there to call down what he was seeing now that the moon is covering the sun. A really amazing time during today's lunar flyby. Again, thank you so much for letting us help tell this story today. I am Leah Cheshire Mustachio, handing it over to my friend Anna Schneider at the PAO console as the Orbit 2 team comes to join us. So thank you so much, and I hope you all enjoy tonight. Anna, you can take it away.
Thank you so much, Leah, and it's been a joy listening to your coverage over the last several hours. So as you mentioned, the Orbit 2 team of flight controllers is currently making their way on console and completing a shift handover with the Orbit 1 team of flight controllers. The Orbit 2 team tonight will be led by Flight Director Diane Daly, and she is currently handing over with the Orbit 1 flight director there on your screen, who was Flight Director Jeff Radigan. The Artemis 2 crew currently on board the Orion spacecraft. It continues to observe the eclipse that they are witnessing. There's about 43 minutes remaining in that eclipse period. This is Artemis Mission Control. You are currently seeing a live view of the solar array wing cameras on the Orion spacecraft. We spoke with our science team, and they did determine that that dot in the distance is Venus.
Science integrity. Let's see, not a huge change in here, just an update. The camera settings for Earthshine are challenging. This one's challenging to capture. What we're seeing, we're just not picking up on the cameras. And after all of the amazing sights that we saw earlier, we just went sci-fi. This has, it just looks unreal. You can see the surface of the moon between, I guess, the Earthshine. I guess Earthshine. You can actually see a majority of the moon. It is the strangest looking thing that you can see so much on the surface.
This is Artemis Mission Control. You were just hearing some communications called down from NASA astronaut Victor Glover, currently on board the Orion spacecraft. They are currently observing an eclipse. There's about 39 minutes remaining in that eclipse period. Currently, we are in a forward link LOS, or loss of signal, so the crew can communicate down with...
Reports he's seen 2 meteors, science.
So we are in a forward link loss of signal. We do expect to regain signal in about 3 minutes, and at that point then the ground can communicate back up to the crew on board the Orion spacecraft. In the meantime, the crew can continue to communicate down to the ground. The ground is just unable to respond, so they are continuing to provide some science observations during this eclipse period. They've made some comments about Earth shine, which is the sunlight reflected from Earth when they come around towards the moon's near side late in this flyby window.
integrity in the blind. The glow around the moon is beginning to become a little bit more even. It's not so much distinct just where the sun set on the moon's horizon as we're flying through this trajectory, and then the sun's going to come up out of the other side. I think it's we're starting to see the glow around the moon get balanced out. I still see Earthshine, and the Earth is very bright out there. Still quite an unreal sight.
Integrity Houston, we have that sit rep loud and clear, and we are back with you. How do you hear me?
Hey Jenny, we have you loud and clear, thanks.
Copy. Victor, we're handing you over to Science for some critical questions. Thanks for your reports. Integrity Science, we were loving your science sit reps in the blind, and it should come as no surprise that we have a number of follow-up questions. First, you mentioned Reed observing meteors. Can you speak to that? Were you referring to comets or impact flashes or something else?
Yeah, there was a little bit of giddiness. We have seen 3 impact flashes so far. I saw 2, and Jeremy has seen 1. Undoubtedly, Jeremy saw 2, so that's 4 total. Undoubtedly, quick impact flashes. It was not sun glint off of particulate from the thrusters or the purge tanks. It was definitely impact flashes on the moon. And Jeremy just saw another one. Go ahead with your next question.
Amazing news. I literally just looked over at the SIR and they were jumping up and down literally. If you could describe where on the moon you saw them, please.
So they've all been either on or a bit south of the equator and on the Earth side of the moon. Stand by. All right, so Jeremy has seen them kind of on and south of the equator, kind of spread across the moon, and mine were both south of the equator and just a little bit left of center of the moon.
Incredible news, Reed, and reminder, we have citizen scientists here on Earth looking for impact flashes, so hearing you saw them on the near side means that people saw them too.
This is Artemis Mission Control. We have regained that signal, so the team here in Mission Control was able to call back up to the crew on board the Orion spacecraft as they continue their lunar flyby. Specifically, they are now in that eclipse period. So the science team here in Mission Control was able to ask some questions about some of the situational reports they were providing during that loss of signal. Specifically, they were interested in some of the meteors that they mentioned seeing and those impact flashes, and they did provide confirmation that they did see at least 4 impact flashes during that loss of signal.
Are you still with us, Houston, or do we lose you?
Integrity, I hear you loud and clear. How do you hear me?
Okay, we got you loud and clear. One of the other things I wanted to describe, which was surprising to me, but the entire moon is lit up. It's glowing behind the entire moon. I thought it would look, dark against the black sky or deep space, but the sun is lighting up the entire limb of the moon. You can see the entire perimeter of it, and even now with the sun far behind the moon, you can still make out little bits of topography topography around the entire limb, just bumps as you go around it. And there's about the glow around the moon, once your eyes adjust, is easily 10 widths or diameters of the sun around the entire moon.
Incredible to hear, Jeremy. Were you able to actually pick out any discrete features on the lunar surface? And if so, how do they look different than when you observe them in solar illumination?
No, we really haven't been able to identify features on the lunar surface yet. We just see, the topography on the limb. For the Earth glow, we're about a quarter moon, waxing quarter moon, if you will, from the Earth glow perspective, and it's just at a very, just the sight angle. I'm just not able to tell what I'm looking at yet in the Earth glow.
Understood. Thanks, Jeremy. One other question for you on the solar corona. Were you actually able to see any structure or color in the corona before most of it disappeared behind the moon?
Yeah, I didn't pick out any color, but definitely structure. There were streamers, and they were not uniform at all. For me, the 5 o'clock position, there was just this constant streamer. It would change in intensity and diameter, but it was always there, and it was always at the 5 o'clock position. I only saw one plume, and it came out of basically the 3 o'clock position of the sun. That was very short-lived when I could see the plume.
Exactly what we were looking for. Thanks, Jeremy. And a heads up that we, calculated here on the ground about how long you could see the corona for, and we expect it to start to appear again in the next 11 minutes. Thanks for those amazing descriptions.
Okay, we're excited to see it all again.
Integrity Houston, we're following along as well. That was outstanding. If you haven't already, just reminding you to swap positions at the windows. And that brief LOS we had previously was due to a data rate change expected.
Okay, we copy that, Jenny.
Integrity Science, one more request for you. While it's still fresh in your mind, any annotations or sketches you want to make of what you're seeing either around the corona structures you just mentioned or even on Earthshine would be so appreciated.
Okay, Kelsey, it's going to be pretty hard to go look at a PCD right now, but we'll definitely try and annotate what we saw.
And if the annotations come in the next block where you're cleaning up your documentation, that sounds like a good plan to me.
This is Artemis Mission Control. On the bottom right corner of your screen, you can see a view of the Science Officer console here in Mission Control. And we've been hearing that communication between the Science Officer. The Orbit 1 Science Officer is Kelsey Young, and she's been asking questions to the crew, specifically CSA astronaut Jeremy Hansen, based on the observations they've been making during this eclipse period. And then in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, you can see a view of the Artemis real-time orbit website, which provides updates on the velocity and the distance from Earth and the Moon of the Orion spacecraft as it continues to make its way back to Earth. The distance from the Moon will continue to increase at this point. So right now, Orion and its crew are about 6,300 miles away from the Moon and about 251,000 miles away from the Earth.
Okay, science, we're getting set up for sunrise. The window teams are, Christina is supporting and also Xena in window 1. Jeremy's got the long lens in window 2 and the short lens in window 2. And Reed is in window 3 and he has started recordings and is set up to see Corona.
Great, sit rep Victor. That sounds like a good config, and we're showing coronal effects start to appear on your video camera. So in the next few minutes, we should start to hear your observations.
This is Artemis Mission Control. We just heard the crew call down to the team here in Houston, reporting that they have swapped out who is in the windows for the final portion of the lunar flyby. So Christina Cook is in window 1, with Jeremy Hansen in window 2 and Reed in window 3. Reed is focusing on observing corona, which is the solar corona, which is the sun's outermost atmosphere. There is about 18 minutes remaining in the eclipse period.
Science, and Houston, integrity. I know this observation won't be of any scientific value, but I'm really glad we launched on April 1st because humans probably have not evolved to see what we're seeing. It is truly hard to describe. It is amazing.
Amazing. Thank you, Victor.
And just one more logistics note, we have gone as dark as we can in the cabin. We have turned the DUs all the way as dim as they can go, so you can't see anything on the screens. Every bit of light in the cabin affects the view. You're definitely seeing the brightness go closer. It's definitely brighter on the Earth-shine side, and so we're expecting to see some corona here soon.
We copy all. Excited for what you see next.
I'm not sure if we talked much about the star field, but we've got lots of stars. You've got the nice glow around the moon, but right off the well, we're upside down now, but from upside down 4 o'clock, right off the edge of the moon, looks like a planet. That line of planets, there's something a moon diameter to the left, and something right off the limb of the moon to the right, and then something orange. It looks orange to the right of that, about half the moon diameter. So. But anyway, there are definitely stars. I think some of those planets that you said we might see, we're seeing. And so in unreal view, yeah, the moon in the foreground is one of the darkest things we see out the window. And now it's deep space behind it is kind of dark blue like it looks from Earth, but we can also still see stars. It's quite a wicked view.
Victor,
Victor's doing the best job, and I'm not going to try to add on to what he's doing. It's indescribable. No matter how long we look at this, our brains are not processing this image in front of us. It is absolutely spectacular, surreal. I know there's no adjectives. I'm going to need to invent some new ones to describe what we are looking at out this window.
This is just absolutely beautiful and inspiring to hear. And Victor, we suspect what you're seeing is Saturn and Mars. That reddish object is likely Mars. Good opportunity to look to the future of where we're going.
Yeah, we can absolutely see the color of Mars. That's awesome. Okay, and from this vantage point, the 4 o'clock on the Earth-shine side is definitely getting brighter, still no coronal structure.
Houston copies.
And we aren't able to distinguish which Mare is, but we can clearly see Mare in the Earthshine.
We copy.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas.
We have not seen an impact flash in the last 5 minutes.
Sounds unlucky, but you had a pretty strong start, so we'll take it.
And actually, right after I said that, right at the South Pole, near the South Pole on the Terminator, Reed just saw one.
Amazing.
Integrity science, and as you look around our solar system neighborhood, you should see Saturn setting behind the moon right now.
We do. We've been watching it track close to the horizon, and it's right tangential to the moon at this moment.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We are currently 5 days, 2 hours, and 44 minutes into the Artemis 2 mission, and we have about 11 minutes remaining in the eclipse at the latter half of the lunar flyby that the Artemis 2 crew is experiencing on board the Orion spacecraft. We've received several different call downs from the crew and questions up from the science officer here in Mission Control. One of the things that they said that they were able to see is Mars off in the distance, and then the science team also confirmed that they should be seeing Saturn setting behind the moon. They've also acknowledged seeing several different impact flashes, and these are flashes of lights from meteorites striking the surface of the moon. They've also mentioned the solar corona, which is the sun's outermost atmosphere. Here in Mission Control Houston, the Orbit 1 and Orbit 2 teams have officially completed their handover. So the Orbit 2 team is now leading here in Mission Control, and that is being led by Flight Director Diane Daly, and the Capcom here in Mission Control will be Tess Caswell. And you can see there on your screen on the right-hand side is the Flight Director console, and Diane Daly is in the far right of that screen, and Tess Caswell, the Capcom or capsule communicator, is in the far left hand of that screen.
Okay, the light is continuing to grow in intensity. At about the 4 o'clock position on the the 8 o'clock position on the Earth-shine side. Saturn has set. Mars is tracking towards the moon's horizon.
Integrity science, we copy, and we're starting to see it on the vehicle stream. Looking forward to any coronal observations you can share with us.
This is Artemis Mission Control. That view you're seeing on your screen is coming from the solar array wing cameras outside of the Orion spacecraft. And you can see the light starting to come into view as the solar eclipse period is starting to end.
Integrity, still no coronal structure at this time, just continuing to grow in intensity.
Copy, Victor, and reminder, you still should have several minutes before the eclipse classes need to go on, and we can send you up a reminder when you're getting close to take your eyes away from the D5 viewfinder, but you should be good for several more minutes.
Copy, thank you, and yes, please send up the reminder. Thank you. Okay, we all think we're starting to see something. I believe the most popular term is baby hair. As the light grows in intensity and the horizon on this side becomes very distinct, you can still see Earth shine, even though the sun's brightness is definitely growing in intensity.
Love the description, Victor. I'm sure as the next couple minutes progress, more of those structures will continue to pop out.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. The Artemis 2 astronauts on board the Orion spacecraft are currently observing an eclipse. And to the crew on board the spacecraft, the eclipse looks much like a total solar eclipse here on Earth, except the moon is much larger compared to the sun, unlike a terrestrial solar eclipse where the moon and the sun appear the same size in the sky.
We are definitely starting to see structure. That baby hair is rapidly growing out toward the 9 o'clock and the 8 o'clock. It's almost as if it were reaching out for Venus or for the Earth. If you've ever seen the spotlight off the top of the Luxor at night in Las Vegas, this looks like what that wants to be when it grows up.
Integrity Science, glad to hear you're following your training of tell it like you see it.
So far, it's pretty symmetrical. There are 2 or 3 streamers that are growing in intensity and in magnitude, and it's slowly starting to widen, starting to spread out across the horizon. Pretty amazing view.
And Integrity Houston, great words. Reminder for you, we are approaching the brightness level at which you should no longer be using the viewfinder on the D5.
copies, and thanks for the heads up.
This is Artemis Mission Control.
And I think we're seeing some directionality. Some of it is going in different directions because it appears to be moving and combining and recombining as it it's pointing in different directions, and some of it appears to be going like down toward the south pole of the moon, but it's and then coming back together and going out towards Venus and the Earth. And depending on how I stare at it, it looks like one large structure, but then it definitely has wisps, and you can see 3 or 4 structures inside of it. It's like watching a flame. It's like looking at a flame, and stand by. And so it has some inherent movement. Now there's a very bright spot. There's a very bright spot in the center of it. There's a towering light and then there were like 2 streamers that were going 30 degrees out from it, and now it is just extremely bright.
Houston, copies all.
Starting to get a little warm.
And we copied all. We wanted to remind you at this point on the eclipse glasses. Should be about time for those.
Houston, we copy all. We are in eclipse glasses. That was an absolutely spectacular, magnificent experience.
Thanks for the report. We sure wish we were there with you.
This is Artemis Mission Control. The eclipse period is coming to an end, and we did hear that call up that the crew now has to put on those eclipse glasses to be able to protect their eyes for this final portion of the eclipse. And these views coming to you from the solar array wing cameras on the Orion spacecraft.
Houston, if you could give me about 20 new superlatives in the mission summary for tomorrow, that'll help my vocabulary out a bit. Thank you.
We will solicit input from the team.
This is Artemis Mission Control. There on your screen you can see a live look inside of the SIR, or the Science Evaluation Room, here in Mission Control Houston, just down the hallway from the Artemis Flight Control Room.
Integrity Houston, back with you after a data rate change. Regarding the SAW-3 camera T low caution, no action for you. It just got a little cool during the eclipse.
Okay, we copy, and if you didn't copy my request for the mission summary to add about 20 new superlatives to help my vocabulary, I would appreciate it.
We copied it fantastically.
And integrity science, this is basically wrapping up your fly-by-day observations. I can't say enough how much science we've already learned and how much inspiration you've provided to our entire team, the lunar science community, and the entire world with what you were able to bring today. You really brought the moon closer for us today, and we cannot say thank you enough. And science signing off, and can't wait to talk to you tomorrow morning.
To your entire team, Kelsey, to the entire NASA science team, you all really turned to when we shifted launch dates to April 1st, and you got the most incredible package together for us to go do some great science and some great, truly human experience moments here. And we were well prepared, and we appreciate all of you. And this is what we do best when we all come together and work as a team. So you all knocked it out of the park. Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Beautiful words, Reed. Thanks so much.